The following is intended for mature audiences.
Hey, my name is Ralph, and I'm the host of the Scream Society, a podcast I love to call a variety show from hell. Over the past 3 years, I've learned so much, from how to pace an episode to sound design, from researching current topics and condensing real-life true crime cases into segments, all while trying to keep the tone respectful and educational. Then throw in some listener-submitted experiences and paranormal stories, and boom. I never thought I would do this for so long, and it's been this amazing ride, especially meeting and engaging with people from all over the country, all over the world. Just broken record over here, but this experience will always be about connection for me. And I simply just want to tell every single one of you who engage, who tune in when an episode drops, who give me topic suggestions. I just want to say thank you, because you all are truly the reason I come back to the microphone, the reason I sit on this chair and research and edit for hours. So simply thank you. Now here's to another year of horror, unpopular opinions, chaos, and all of that. I'll see you on the other side.
Welcome to a world where darkness and mystery converge. Navigate the depths of horror and true crime and join a society beyond the ordinary, where buzzworthy topics, paranormal tales, and listener-submitted experiences blend into a realm of the unknown. You have crossed into a place where the unusual and the terrifying are just the beginning. My name is Ralph Anthony, and welcome to the Scream Society podcast. Hello, Screamers.
Welcome into another edition of this Friday podcast, straight from the fiery pits of hell. In the dawn of this killer virus going around, I am here, I am alive, and I am recovered, mostly. It was so frustrating to start off 2026 with whatever virus I caught, and not only because it sucked, but because it pushed my entire episode schedule back, because I really wanted to start releasing early January, but that's okay. What matters is that we're here now. And I hope you all had an amazing holiday, amazing start to the new year. We are looking at a huge year in horror cinema, with the release of Scream 7 around the corner, Primate, Silent Hill, Resident Evil, even horror comedy parody film Scary Movie 6, and the list goes on. It's going to be a great year. It's also going to be a great episode. I've got a 911 call. We're going to talk about a ridiculous new trend going on, some true crime, and some requests and questions from you all. But first, let's go back just a little bit. We have to talk about Scream really quickly, and how everyone has been talking about the lack of promotion, like trailers and collaborations to promote the movie further. Because if you think back to Scream 6, they went all out, right? Popcorn buckets, soda cups, plushies. There was even a Scream 6 pop-up in Santa Monica. I remember I checked that out. Like, how was that 3 years ago already? Anyway, so the promotion has been lacking, with only one trailer coming out last October and a few TV spots, including the one that uses the original title card font, which was super cool. Then we have some new posters that came out, and everyone is still buzzing about this late promotion, stating it should have been done in December, not mid-January. And that reason for delayed promotion is due to the Melissa Barrera situation. And while those who want nothing more than to see this film flop would stand by that, if you really think back, think hard. Scream 2022 didn't get that much of a promotional push really either. If you really think about it, it was really just the sixth film that did. Like, they treated Scream 6 like it was this huge action blockbuster. But I came across this article and it really helped put all of this into perspective, because right now, Hollywood is going through what a lot of people are calling a Hollywood contraction. And in simple terms, it's basically this massive pullback on spending. Studios are tightening budgets, they're rethinking their strategies, and taking a long, uncomfortable look at what's actually working and what absolutely isn't. Now, this shift really got stamped as an official emergency in 2024. It kind of started after lockdown, remember COVID? But 2024 was the year studios fully went like, okay, something's wrong here. And since then, the way movies and shows are made, the way they're marketed, and even greenlit has changed big time. And why does this happen? Well, if you look at recent box office numbers, it's kind of shocking how many major releases have just flopped. Like, hard. Like huge Marvel Cinematic productions, Disney remakes, big action franchises aren't bringing in what these companies anticipated. And since lockdown, people just aren't rushing back to theaters the way they used to. And on top of that, there's a growing complaint that movies just don't feel as good as they used to. Quality-wise, story-wise, vibe-wise. Then throw cancel and boycott culture on top of that, and people just opt to stay home. And to go even further, like, there are a lot of people who go to the movies and don't know how to enjoy a movie anymore. Like, I see people on their phones, people's phone flashes are going off and giggling, and just, it's not really fun, and it's really hard to sit and watch a movie when you have people who are distracting and being obnoxious and rude. Now, normally, a flop here and there isn't the end of the world for these production companies. I mean, one big hit can pretty much cover the losses of the weaker movie. But the problem is, it's happening way too often. Like I said, films that should be pulling huge audiences just aren't. And that's a massive issue for studios. And from Paramount's point of view, specifically, yeah, they've had some wins here, but they've also taken a beating from multiple box office failures over the past few years. And when that starts stacking up, studios don't panic quietly. They cut their losses. They slow things down and start reassessing everything. Now, Scream 7 has a smaller budget, but I truly believe that the fans will show out for this entry, regardless of the whole ordeal that's going on. And to me, because a franchise is owned by a demonic company doesn't mean we should let the franchise rot and ruin the legacy. And I sound like such a dork saying that, but it is what it is. And if it does happen to underperform, then maybe the franchise taking a little break would be beneficial. I'm just saying. But as we inch closer to release day, Paramount and the Scream accounts are becoming more active. So maybe we're going to see some heavy promotion during the month of February. Only time will tell. Now, one recent movie release that is thriving and didn't have any crazy promotion either until about 2 weeks before its release was that killer chimp film, Primate. And a pet chimpanzee that contracts rabies and goes on a killing spree. I'm sold. I enjoyed it, okay? Regardless of what you think and how ridiculous it sounds, I enjoyed the blood and the gore in this one. It was just some of the acting that was a little off for me, but overall, the lead actor, Johnny Sequoia, did an amazing job. The chimp was a mixture of practical and some CGI, and like I said, it was brutal. As I was sitting in the theater watching, I kept thinking back to that very real 911 call and very bizarre case of Travis the chimp, which leads us into this episode's 911 call, which I must issue a trigger warning because this one is pretty graphic. Let's get into it. Just to set the stage here, Travis the chimpanzee was born on October 21st, 1995, near Festus, Missouri, at a private chimpanzee breeding compound owned by Mark and Connie Braun Casey. At the time, the facility was called Chimp Party. It has a fun little ring to it, right? But was later renamed the Missouri Primate Foundation. And he wouldn't actually receive the official name of Travis until later, but I will refer to him as Travis for this entire case. Now, Travis's parents, Susie and Coco, were wild-caught chimpanzees taken from Africa and brought to the United States in the 1970s. And during that time, there was this weird era where exotic animals were treated like collectibles instead of, well, exotic animals. And sadly, just 3 days after Travis was born, he was taken from his mother, Susie. And that part is crucial here. Chimpanzees bond with their mothers intensely. Infants cling to them constantly for years. Removing a chimp at 3 days old doesn't just separate them, it disrupts emotional regulation, stress response, social development, and identity. Travis never learned how to be a chimp. Now, in 2001, Travis's mother, Susie, would be fatally shot after escaping. In my opinion, another detail that showcases how unstable and dangerous these facilities already were. Then Travis was sold for $50,000 to Sandra and Jerome Harold, a married couple from Stamford, Connecticut, who named him after Sandra's favorite country singer, Travis Tritt. And no shade to the country music community, but I have no idea who that is. So, from the moment Travis arrived in Connecticut, he was not raised as an animal. He lived inside the house on Rockrimmon Road in the North Stamford area. He slept in beds, bathed with Sandra, diabolical. He ate meals at the table, drank wine from stemmed glasses. Travis was a fancy guy. He wore clothes, buckled his own seatbelt, rode in cars and tow trucks, even went shopping. And get this, he would even go to work. Now, Sandra and Jerome owned a towing company, and Travis regularly posed for photos at the shop. Hell, even police officers knew him by name. And he was well known in town, essentially like a local celebrity who was treated more like a quirky mascot than this fully grown wild primate. So, as a juvenile, Travis the chimp had a very busy schedule. Sandra really took advantage of this situation because Travis appeared in television shows and commercials, including a Pepsi ad, even iconic shows like The Maury Show. And like I said earlier, from birth, Travis was socialized entirely among humans. Neighbors said that they would wrestle and play with him. He knew when to stop. He paid close attention to Sandra at all times, and other people described him as usually obedient, even compared to human children. And while this is extraordinary, at the same time, it's also very disturbing. And just based on all the things he could do, get this, he could even unlock doors using keys. He could water plants, feed hay to horses, eat with utensils at the family table, use a computer to look at photos, operate a TV remote, brush his teeth using a water pick. He loved ice cream so much that he memorized ice cream truck schedules. He watched baseball regularly and had even driven a car on several occasions. Imagine driving to work and coming across a chimp behind the wheel in the car next to you. This is wild. By adulthood, Travis weighed about 200 pounds, which veterinarians later classified as significantly obese for a chimp. And I'm pretty sure that's what happens when you have an animal that is meant to live in the wild, eating processed foods and McDonald's. So as time went on, unfortunately, emotionally, things were starting to shift for Sandra and her husband Jerome. In September of 2000, Sandra's only child, Susan, was fatally killed in a car accident. Then in April 2004, Jerome died of cancer. And after those losses, Travis stopped being a pet or companion and became this replacement, something like a surrogate son, this emotional anchor and constant presence for Sandra. Sandra slept with him nightly, continued to bathe with him, treated him as family in a way that eliminated any remaining boundaries. Now, backtracking a little bit, one of the first major public warnings of what was to come came in October 2003, which was roughly 6 months prior to Jerome's death. So on October 19th, 2003, during a car ride, Travis escaped from Sandra's car at a busy intersection and shut down traffic for several hours. The incident began when a pedestrian threw an empty soda bottle into the car through a partially open window, scaring Travis. He unbuckled his seatbelt, exited the vehicle, and chased the pedestrian. When police arrived, they repeatedly tried to lure him back into the car, only for Travis to let himself out through another door, circle the vehicle, and occasionally chase officers. He outmaneuvered police for hours. And this incident directly led to the Connecticut General Assembly passing a law prohibiting ownership of primates weighing more than 50 pounds and requiring exotic pet permits. But the law didn't take effect until 2009. But guess what? Travis was exempt. The Connecticut Department of Environmental Protection chose not to enforce the law against Sandra and Jerome because they had owned Travis for so long and believed he posed no public safety risk. Well, that decision would age like milk here. So by 2009, Travis was aging. He was isolated from other chimps. He was overweight and heavily medicated. He was being treated for Lyme disease, and Sandra had been giving him Xanax, sometimes mixed into tea. But the disobedient, rebellious saga continued on February 16th, 2009 at approximately 3:40 p.m. Travis would take Sandra's car keys and leave the house. In a panic, Sandra called her friend Charla Nash, who was 55 at the time, asking for help getting him back inside. Charla had known Travis for years and had worked at the towing company. She was familiar with him, but that day she had looked different. She had a different hairstyle, she had a different car, and she was holding an Elmo doll, one of Travis's favorite toys. And well, something triggered him. Travis would attack Charla immediately, and this was not a single strike or a defensive reaction. It was a sustained mauling. He targeted her face and limbs, ripping away her eyelids, her nose, lips, and mid-face bone structure. He crushed her hands and bit off 9 fingers. He tore flesh down to the bone. There was hair and teeth embedded into her skull that belonged to Travis. Now, Sandra attempted to stop him. She struck him in the head with a shovel. She stabbed him in the back with a butcher knife. At one point, Travis even turned toward her, but would return to Charla. Believing Charla was dead, Sandra fled to her car, locked herself inside, and called 911. Travis's screams are audible in the background. Take a listen to the call.
Time for 911. Where's your emergency?
This is Sandy. 231 Rock Crimmon Road.
What's the
Send
problem?
the police. Send the police.
What's the problem there?
The chimp killed my friend.
What's the problem with your friend?
Oh, please.
What's the problem with your friend? I need to know.
Send the police up with a gun. With a gun. Hurry
Who
up.
has a gun?
Please hurry up. He's killing my girlfriend.
What is the problem?
He's killing my friend.
Who's killing your friend?
My chimpanzee.
Oh, your chimpanzee is killing your friend.
He ripped her apart. Hurry up.
With a gun.
Hurry up, please.
There's someone on the way.
With guns, please. You shoot him.
What is the monkey doing? Tell me what the monkey's...
He ripped her face off.
He ripped her face off?
He's trying to attack me. Please,
Okay,
hurry.
I need you to calm down a little bit. They're on the way. Can you put yourself away? I don't want the monkey attacking you.
Please, hurry up. Listen to me.
They're on the way, ma'am.
Guns. They gotta shoot him, please. Please, hurry.
Are you there with your friend? I need you to help your friend. Can you go help your
I
friend?
can't. He tried to attack me now.
Is he still there with your friend?
Yes,
Okay, so then back off. Then don't get any closer, okay? They're already on the way.
please.
If the monkey moves away from your friend, let me know, okay? So we could try to help your friend.
No, I can't. She's dead. She's dead.
Why are you saying that she's dead?
She's dead. He ripped her apart.
He ripped what apart? Her face?
Everything. Oh,
He ripped her apart?
listen, I think I'm gonna faint. I think I'm gonna pass out.
No, just breathe, okay? I'm going to stay with you on the phone until they get there.
Listen to me. Please hurry. Please hurry. Oh my God. They gotta have their guns out. They gotta have their guns out. Listen to me. Oh my God.
Is this your monkey or whose monkey
Yes.
is it? It's your monkey.
No, it's mine.
How do you know how big is he? How many pounds?
200 pounds.
400?
200.
200 pounds?
Listen to me, please. Where are they?
And he's a chimp, correct?
Yes. Where are they?
They're going your way. They're going as fast as they can your way, okay?
Please go faster. Please, Dirk. Please.
Is the monkey still by your friend, or can you get close to your friend?
He's eating her. Please.
The monkey's
God,
eating
oh,
her.
please.
Okay, I need you to calm down for me. I know it's hard, okay? I know it's hard. But they're going as fast as they can your way, okay?
Oh, my God. Please hurry. They tell them they got to shoot him because I tried stabbing him and he's not, and it made him worse.
Okay, Sandra.
Have them shoot him.
They will. Sandra, I already have the fire department close by, okay? So as soon as the police gets there, the fire department's going to move in, okay? The fire department can't move in yet, but as soon as the police officers show up,
Please tell them. Shoot him because he's going to try to attack me now.
just breathe, Sandra.
Shoot him!
Sandra, stay in your car.
Shoot him!
Sandra, I need you to stay in your car.
Shoot him, please! I tried stabbing him, and he's hurt now too. So he's gonna attack anybody. I can't get out of this car.
Lock your doors on your car and stay there with me.
It don't matter. He will rip the doors wide
Sandra,
open.
just do what I'm telling you to. Stay in the car. The police officers will handle it.
Please tell him to shoot him. Please tell him. Please tell him to kill him, please.
They did, Sandra. They're shooting at him already, okay?
But he's not dead.
I know. They will continue until he's dead, okay? I just need you to stay on the phone with me and breathe.
He's not dead. He's not dead. He's not dead. Oh, God.
This is one of those 911 calls where the dispatcher left me frustrated, but at the same time, I can understand how a call like this could sound staged or like a prank. Now, unfortunately for Charla, she couldn't be helped immediately due to emergency medical services having to wait for police before approaching. And when police arrived, Travis walked toward the cruiser. He attempted to open a locked passenger door, smashed a side view mirror, then walked to the driver's side and opened it. Officer Frank Chiafari shot Travis 4 times. Travis then ran into the home and collapsed next to his cage where he would die. And thankfully, Charla was still alive and was going to survive. However, what she was about to go through medically was a whole other challenge on its own for her. Paramedics described Charla's injuries as horrendous, and over the next 72 hours, she underwent more than 7 hours of surgery by 4 teams of surgeons. And get this, hospital staff required counseling due to the severity of her injuries. Like, imagine the sight that all of those hospital workers witnessed. During the surgery, doctors removed Travis's hair and teeth that had been embedded in her bones. They reattached her jaw. She permanently lost her eyelids, her nose, lips, mid-face structure, and vision due to infections in both eyes. Truly just so awful. Now, she was later considered a candidate for an experimental face transplant, where she was transferred from Stanford Hospital to the Cleveland Clinic. Her family created a trust fund to pay her medical bills and support her daughter. So as for Travis the chimp, tests had to be conducted on the body to see exactly what triggered this outburst. Now, Travis's head was sent for rabies testing, which came out negative. Toxicology confirmed Xanax was in his system. An autopsy did confirm Travis was obese, along with the stab and gunshot wounds. His remains would end up being cremated on February 25th, 2009. And in the aftermath, Sandra was deeply traumatized. Who wouldn't be? But on May 24th, 2010, 15 months after the attack, Sandra died suddenly at the age of 72 from a ruptured aortic aneurysm. And as for Charla, she would receive a face and hand transplant on May 28th, 2011, though complications forced doctors to remove the transplanted hands just days later. Then lawsuits followed. Charla settled with Sandra's estate in 2012 for approximately $4 million. The case sparked international media attention, legislative debate, documentaries, and more importantly, major changes in exotic animal policy. And when everything is stripped away, the spectacle, the headlines, the shock, what's left is this slow, preventable collapse. Because it wasn't just one bad day, it wasn't just one mistake, but I think years of ignored warnings, most definitely blurred boundaries, and this refusal to accept that love doesn't domesticate wild animals, right? Travis did exactly what a chimpanzee is capable of doing. I just think the tragedy here is that everyone acted surprised when he finally did. Let's take a break.
From the blood-soaked depths of late-night horror comes a collection so shocking, so scandalous, it'll make your wardrobe scream. Want my face on your chest? Or maybe you just want to rep the cult, the logo, the legend, the Scream Society? Don't just listen to the nightmare, wear it, rep it, live it. Get it now before it gets you. Head to scream-society.printify.me and rep Scream Society merch.
Welcome back. Now, I have covered some pretty out there topics, but I came across this resurfaced trend that takes body image to a scary new extreme. Let's get into it in this episode's sinister subject. Ever hear of LOOKSMAXXING? This is one of those internet rabbit holes that started off sounding like drink more water and fix your posture, and somehow evolved into body mutilation with actual hammers. LOOKSMAXXING is basically this idea of maximizing your physical attractiveness. That's it. That's the pitch. The term originally popped up back in the 2010s. At the time, it was pretty popular and stuck to those corners of the internet, but fast forward to the 2020s and suddenly it breaks containment. TikTok, social media groups, short form videos, now it's everywhere and it's still mostly men pushing it. And look at society, like we are in the fiery core of extremism, so why not reincorporate this idea but with this extremist twist? Y'all ruin everything. And I'm not saying I was for the original concept, which some LOOKSMAXXING communities focused on pretty surface level stuff, skincare routines, gym advice, grooming, jaw exercises, posture, lighting tricks for photos, which doesn't sound too crazy. I mean, we all love to take care of ourselves here. And I do love some good lighting. Now enter this guy, Clavicular. Did I say that correctly? Clavicular is this online streamer and influencer who really took off in 2025 on Kick, which is another streaming platform that I've heard bad things about, and TikTok. Now, his whole brand is LOOKSMAXXING, but not the drink green juice kind. His content has been widely described as extreme and controversial, especially because he openly endorsed practices like facial bone smashing and has even used crystal meth to stay lean, allegedly. And yes, I said crystal meth. We are already off the rails here. Now, Clavicular, whose last name is Peters, Clavicular Peters, has said he first got into LOOKSMAXXING back in high school, and his reason for it has been to become attractive in order to influence people politically, not just for dating or confidence. His logic was essentially, if you're hot, people listen to you more. And to interject here, I would not take political advice from someone who has a history of freely calling people the N-word, hard R, has been endorsed as a total Chad, and is hanging out with Nick Fuentes. But unfortunately, this kid still has influence. When he started this whole journey, he began injecting himself with testosterone supplements at 14 years old. 14! And by 2025, Clavicular had gained a huge following for his LOOKSMAXXING focused content on both Kick and TikTok. He frequently referred to himself as a Giga Chad. In LOOKSMAXXING, language means a man who has supposedly reached the absolute peak of masculinity and attractiveness. And I'm gonna probably sound like a hater here, and I mean, he's not a bad looking guy. I just think his message is, just to further explain, he regularly instructs his audience on how to quote unquote ascend, which basically how to become more attractive in order to gain social power and better sexual prospects. He also pushed the concept of hard maxing, which is the term used for intense, painful, and often extreme physical alterations. And this is where things get dark. Clavicular openly participated in and promoted bone smashing, which is a pseudoscientific practice where people hit their bones, usually in the face, with a hammer or their fists under the belief that the bones will grow back stronger or more pronounced. Spoiler warning, that is not how bones work. He has claimed to hit his face with a hammer to create his more chiseled, angular jaw that he's rocking now. And also, this is based on the misinterpreted idea of Wolff's Law, which suggests that applying stress to bones makes them stronger or thicker. Like, whatever happened to getting filler? I liked her. Now, as I mentioned earlier, he also talked about using crystal meth specifically to suppress his appetite so he could stay thin. And on top of that, he admitted to taking anabolic steroids. And according to him, by 2025, this led to him dealing with infertility because his body stopped producing testosterone naturally. So you have this 19-year-old on testosterone, steroids, and meth? Like, what are we doing here? And how is this content being pushed? And I would assume monetized. By late 2025, he launched a paid self-improvement course called the Clavicular System, charging $50 for access. And there was a video from November 2025 of him injecting his then 17-year-old girlfriend with fat-dissolving peptides. Like, what exactly are we doing here, gentlemen? LOOKSMAXXING in theory sounds harmless enough. Shower, lift weights, wear clothes that fit. Congratulations, you've discovered basic self-care. Welcome to adulthood, babe. But what Clavicular and this corner of the internet have done is take a normal human insecurity and crank it up to medieval torture device levels, right? Because somewhere along the way, the message stopped being improve what you can and became your face is fundamentally broken and must be repaired with hammers, hormones, and meth. And I sound like a hater over here. Maybe I am, but I've always taken issue with men online who promote this alpha male BS, gay. and to me, this entire ideology rests on this almost cartoonish belief that attractiveness is like a linear skill tree, right? Like if you just grind hard enough, smash enough bones, inject enough substances, and suppress enough hunger, you'll unlock the final boss achievement, which is Giga Chad Ascended. And it's just fucking stupid. Like this belief that like suddenly the doors are going to open and women are going to come in, men are going to respect you, and society is going to hand you power on a silver platter. Like that shit is so gay. It's gay. And there's also something deeply ironic about the whole I want to influence people politically because I'm attractive. Because if your ideology only works when people find you hot, maybe your ideas aren't that convincing. And what really gets me, though, is how this movement pretends to be about empowerment while quietly fueling the exact insecurity that it's claiming to fix. Like, it creates a hierarchy where almost no one can win. And the solution is always more pain, more money, more risk, more extremes. And the funniest and saddest part is that the Giga Chad ideal isn't even real. It's a meme. It was this hyper-exaggerated caricature of masculinity that started as a joke and somehow convinced this generation of men to treat it like a medical diagnosis. And like I have so many questions. Where are the parents, first and foremost? And I don't mean to give people like this more attention. Not that I have this huge reach, but I have some. And he could just be another troll. Who knows? But I think it is so damaging to younger people who are viewing this content. But if I've sounded distracted while going over this, as I'm running my mouth here, I just opened Clavicular's website. I was trying to access it. Okay, so the website. Apply now, unblock the Ascension method. Claim your spot now. Lock in your exclusive spot before we close to the public. How long has that been up? I'm scared. So here's a breakdown of what to expect when you join this exclusive spot. Okay, diagnose what actually matters. Expose the bottlenecks holding your face back and fix them fast. And here's like a little checklist. Face map audit. Symmetry, proportions, and posture scored. Skin stack. Derm grade routine. Simplify to compounds that work. Jawline exposure, neck fat sodium, and camera angle standards. Hammer not included. JK, I added that last part. Photo standards, lighting, pose, checklist for real before, after proof. I've always told myself this, like, you're not ugly, you just have bad lighting. Like, this is basic shit. Here's another checklist on this website. Execute without noise. Make your protocol light, repeatable, and impossible to mess up. Daily protocol card. Morning PM steps in 6 minutes. Gym and posture. Low puff training. Scapular set. Neck routine. Habit compliances. 60-second check-ins. Proof of work, not vibes. Weekly adjustments. Change one variable, measure compound. This honestly sounds like satire. Like, this can't be real. Okay, let's listen to this video on the website, and I'm assuming this is Clavicular himself. Why do I feel so ugly being on this website right now?
You're tired of being invisible to women, tired of getting rejected, and tired of watching other guys who won the genetic lottery take what's yours, then pay attention. Because what I'm about to show you will completely transform your face and physique in ways that you didn't even think were possible. Look, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. You have been lied to. They told you just be confident, just be yourself, looks don't matter. But you and I both know that's complete bullshit. You see it every day. Attractive men get treated differently. They get the girls, they get the respect, and they get the opportunities handed to them. While you get nothing. Here's what keeps you up at night. You know your life would be completely different if you just looked better. You wouldn't have to deal with rejection after rejection. You wouldn't have to watch women ignore you while they throw themselves at some guy who happens to have a better jawline. And the worst part is, every day that goes by, you're getting older. Your window is closing. And if you don't fix it now, you're gonna wake up 5 years from now in the exact same position or worse. Still invisible, still alone, still wondering where your life could have been if you had decided to take action. Sure, you can spend the next years of your life researching the perfect steroid and LOOKSMAXXING protocol, worrying about side effects that are actually gonna make you look worse. Or you could keep doing what you're doing and accept mediocrity for the rest of your life. But there is a third option. My name is Braden Peters, also known as Clavicular, and I've spent years mastering the science of male aesthetics. I'm talking about completely restructuring your facial aesthetics using pharmacology, extreme methods, and protocols people are too scared to even ask about. Here's what makes my system different. I'm not afraid to go where others won't. While every other LOOKSMAXXING coach is telling you to drink more water and do facial exercises, I'm willing to push you to do the methods that actually work. Steroids, pharmacology, extreme protocols. I've already done this for dozens of men. Guys who came to me looking like boys and left looking like men. One client came to me super skinny, and within months, I completely transformed his facial structure, got him jacked, and got him high dimorphism. These aren't small changes, these are life-altering transformations. The kind that make women stop in their tracks, the kind that make other women respect you, and the kind that give you the halo effect that you've been missing in life. Now guys, just imagine waking up 3 months from now and looking in the mirror. And instead of seeing the same average-looking face looking back at you, you see a completely different person. Strong mandible, defined cheekbones, masculine features, and a body that commands respect. You walk outside and people notice you. Women smile at you. Conversations come easier. Opportunities open up to you. You finally experience what it's like to live life on easy mode. No more rejection, no more being invisible, no more wondering what if.
How about this? I think the most attractive thing, and lean in closer, the most attractive thing isn't a jawline that you earn through blunt force trauma. What is attractive is a personality that doesn't collapse without external validation. Let's take another break. Welcome into Terrifying But True, the segment where I choose one random true crime, dark history, or paranormal case and do a deep dive on it. This episode, I'm diving into the story of Richard Westall Rogers Jr., better known as the Last Call Killer. Let's get into it.
When the unthinkable becomes reality, we find ourselves questioning everything, as some stories are too terrifying but true.
Richard Rogers was born in 1950 in Plymouth, Massachusetts, the oldest of 5 children. His father worked as a lobsterman, his mother was a telephone operator, and eventually the family relocated to Florida in search of better opportunities. On the surface, his upbringing looked ordinary, even stable, socially, though Rogers stood out in ways that made him a target. He was thin, timid, soft-spoken, and had a high-pitched voice. He didn't like sports, preferred spending time with his mother, and even attended Girl Scout meetings with her. He excelled academically, earned straight A's, and joined the French club, but he was everything his father didn't want him to be. And because the world can be especially cruel to boys who don't perform masculinity the right way, Rogers was bullied relentlessly, and instead of healing, something inside him hardened. By his teenage years, there were already serious warning signs. In the late 1960s, Rogers allegedly stabbed an older female neighbor. He was briefly institutionalized and then released with no meaningful long-term intervention or follow-up. Looking back, that moment feels less like a turning point and more like a missed alarm, right? He went on to college, studied French, and largely kept to himself. Those who knew him described him as quiet and withdrawn, but not overly threatening. He shared a home with a roommate he was said to be extremely close to, almost inseparable. Then, in 1973, while attending graduate school at the University of Maine, everything came apart. His housemate, Frederick Allen Spencer, was found brutally murdered, and there was nothing ambiguous about what had happened. Rogers struck Spencer 8 times in the back of the head with a roofing hammer. When that didn't kill him quickly enough, he placed a plastic bag over Spencer's head and suffocated him. He waited until nightfall, wrapped the body in a Boy Scout tent, dragged it past a parking lot, loaded it into his car, and dumped it in a wooded area. Police quickly traced the body back to the house. Rogers' room was essentially a crime scene with blood, bloody fingerprints, and the hammer still present. And Rogers confessed. And somehow, despite all of that, he walked free because he claimed self-defense, said Spencer attacked him, and framed the situation as panic following unwanted sexual advances. He testified calmly and convincingly. The charge was reduced, and the jury ultimately found him not guilty. So now, this man had beaten a murder charge. And that's when things escalated. Rogers moved to New York. He enrolled in nursing school and became a surgical nurse. Knowing what comes next, that detail alone feels deeply unsettling. He worked at Mount Sinai, even in pediatrics. He was trusted, he was respected, and outwardly unremarkable. In 1988, a man came forward with a horrifying accusation. He said Rogers had drugged him, restrained him to a bed using hospital ID bracelets, injected him, and carried his unconscious body out of the apartment. Rogers was arrested and then acquitted once again. So at this point, the system had been given multiple chances to stop him. Every single one failed. Now, between 1991 and 1993, dismembered remains of gay and bisexual men began appearing along highways in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and New York. The bodies were wrapped in garbage bags, cleaned, and carefully cut apart. The work wasn't chaotic or sloppy, it was precise and methodical. Because the victims were last seen leaving piano bars right around closing time, the media dubbed the unknown killer the last call killer. The first known victim was Peter Anderson. His decapitated body was found in a trash barrel off the Pennsylvania Turnpike. He had been stabbed repeatedly and castrated with his penis placed in his mouth. The violence was deeply personal and humiliating, driven by rage rather than randomness. The next victim was Thomas Mulcahy, a married father of 4. His remains were discovered in multiple garbage bags scattered across New Jersey. His body had been disarticulated at the joints, something investigators immediately recognized as the work of someone with medical knowledge. His organs were separated, cleaned, and arranged in a way that felt disturbingly deliberate. Then came Anthony Marrero, whose body was cut into 7 pieces and washed clean. Another victim by the name of Michael Sakara was said to be last seen speaking with a man who had identified himself as a nurse. His head and arms were found first, followed days later by the rest of his body. He had been bludgeoned and dismembered into 7 pieces as well. Now, investigators were painfully close. They traced the garbage bags back to Staten Island, connected tools to specific stores, and suspected the killer had medical training. Nurses were questioned, Rogers was interviewed, his photograph was shown to witnesses, but still, nothing stuck. Now, eventually, the task force was disbanded, and then the killing stopped. And that was that. That was the end of it. Silence. Now, years passed until science finally caught up, and in 1999, investigators revisited the evidence using a newer forensic method called vacuum metal deposition. Fingerprints that had been invisible on the garbage bag suddenly appeared. There were dozens of them. When those prints were finally run through databases in 2001, they hit Richard Rogers, the same man acquitted in Maine, the same man acquitted in New York, the same nurse investigators had already looked at. Police brought him under the pretense of credit card fraud. When confronted with the evidence, Rogers immediately asked for a lawyer and was arrested. A search of his home revealed something deeply disturbing: date rape drugs, plastic bags matching those used in the murders years earlier, carpet fibers, highlighted Bible passages referencing decapitation, Polaroids of shirtless men with stab wounds drawn on them, horror films, and detailed maps. The horror films didn't need to be a detail in there. And there you have it. The mask had finally slipped, and underneath was exactly what investigators had feared all along. Now, at the trial, Rogers said nothing. He showed no remorse, offered no explanation, and never confessed. In 2005, he was convicted of 2 counts of first-degree murder and sentenced to 2 consecutive life terms. And to this day, he has never spoken about the killings. Now, this case is horrifying not only because of what Richard Rogers did, but I think because of how many opportunities there were to stop him and how many people were failed along the way. But that brings this case to a close. Now, in closing, this case happened years ago. These victims weren't equipped with smartphones and resources like we are today. However, there are people out there who are just as evil. So as always, stay vigilant, stay aware, and most importantly, try to make the best judgments possible when leaving with someone. We're going to move on, take a break after this one because honestly, we've earned it. And now let's dive into Ralph versus the Rod, where I react to your stories, experiences, situationships even, and answer your questions while doing my best to give you perspective and or a little advice. To submit, simply email screamsocietypodcast@gmail.com. My inbox is always open over on Instagram at screamsocietypodcast. Remember, mostly everything remains anonymous. So I'm always asking you guys for story ideas, right? Creepy topics and questions over on my Instagram accounts. And when I ask, this is more what I'm aiming for because this prompt slid into my inbox and immediately made me stop scrolling. Shout out to Leo because when he suggested voicemails left after a caller's time of death, I was like, we're doing this. Which of course sent me down a rabbit hole and led me straight into a story I somehow hadn't covered yet. Now picture it, getting a phone call from someone you love, seeing their name pop up on your screen, and then remembering they passed away weeks ago. Not a horror movie, not creepypasta, a real case that left investigators, family members, and paranormal experts completely baffled. And that's how I came across the story of Lorraine Evans. Now, in 2008, a family loses Lorraine Evans. She's a nurse, a mom, a wife, just a normal woman living a quiet life until she passes away peacefully in her sleep on March 14th. Funeral happens, phone line gets disconnected, everyone is grieving and trying to move forward. And then the phone rings. 2 weeks later, her daughter Sarah gets a call. The caller ID, it's her mom. She answers thinking maybe it's like a glitch, maybe a telemarketer. Nope, it's silent. Then she hears this faint whisper. And here's where it gets worse, because it didn't happen once. It happened 13 times. Over the next month, every single call coming from Lorraine's number, every single call lasting exactly 13 seconds. Even though the phone company confirmed that the line had been shut off the day after her death, no outgoing calls should have been possible, right? So, of course, investigators and paranormal researchers get involved and everyone throws out theories. A system glitch, phone companies say nope, it's a hoax. Records and witnesses say no. Mediums step in and say that maybe Lorraine was trying to reach out, especially since 13 is associated with transformation and crossing over. And the wild part here, this isn't even a one-off. Families of 9/11 victims have reported calls after death. A man named Charles Peck made dozens of calls to loved ones after dying in a train crash, which happened around 2008. And while first responders were looking for him, several of his family members were getting calls from him with only silence on the other end. He was found 12 hours later, but get this, he had died on impact. So how were the calls made? Plus, his phone was never found. And it's really interesting and takes my mind to either some sort of glitch or coincidence, prank, or something we just genuinely don't understand yet. And going back to Lorraine's story, to this day, there's no solid explanation for those 13 calls. So, as always, whether it's something supernatural or just technology functioning, I'll leave that for you guys to decide. Thank you for the prompt, Leo. Let's do a couple questions just to lighten the mood a little bit. Okay, most iconic pets in horror. I can't think of... What was the name of the cat in Alien? Let's see. Jonesy. I would say Jonesy because any cat that is able to survive space and a freaking xenomorph encounter is iconic. Do you think Harvey Weinstein is really in prison? No. I just watched an interview. It was an amazing interview, by the way, with Rose McGowan on this podcast called We Need to Talk. And stay tuned for a deep dive on that because I want to talk about what she brought up, which was really interesting and I think important for people to understand about the industry and Hollywood and all of those demons there. But she mentions how she doesn't believe Harvey Weinstein is in prison and believes he's hiding in some mansion somewhere, allegedly. And then I was like, duh, okay. Because remember Jeffrey Epstein, he was allowed to leave prison for days for work, again, allegedly. So who knows? The media lies and paints a picture that these bad people are behind bars and being brought to justice, but people with power can get away with a lot and have access to what I would consider loopholes. Like, yeah, you're isolated, but you're going to be in this mansion with whatever you want for a few years. Nuts. A big thank you to those who submitted for this episode. Make sure to get those questions in. Remember to keep it respectful and honest. I look forward to releasing more often this year, as well as getting some awesome co-hosts to join. Stay tuned. Check out the links in bio on the podcast socials and support a homosexual in need by buying some merch. Now, until next time, I will scare you all on the next episode. Gay.
Thank you for tuning into the Scream Society podcast, hosted, written, produced, and edited by yours truly, Ralph Anthony. Help the society grow by subscribing on your favorite platform and leave a rating and review. I always strive for 5s. Have a horror or paranormal experience? Want me to answer your questions on the show? Submit to beacons.ai/The Scream Society. Connect with the podcast on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Scream Society Podcast. And until next time, I'll scare you on the next episode.